Welcome to Lesson 5 of Apache Mastery, the one where most configs quietly go wrong. Inside a single VOST, you've got three blocks that look interchangeable but absolutely aren't. Directory matches a file system path, location matches a URL, and files matches a file name pattern. Pick the wrong one and your rule either fails silently or hits the wrong requests. And when they overlap, Apache resolves it in a fixed order. Directory, then files, then location wins. So here's the mental model, and it really is mechanical. File system path goes to directory. That's your allow override, your options, your most common block. URL pattern goes to location. That's where proxy pass and set handler live after rewriting. File name pattern goes to files, globs or rejects, perfect for killing dot files and backups. And when they collide, burn this into memory. Directory, then files, then htaccess, then location. Last one wins, and location overrides everything above it. This is the matrix to memorize. 3 columns. Read it however you need. Directory matches a path on disk like .var www.shop, runs before URL rewriting, and is where allow override and options belong. Location matches URL patterns like API or admin, runs after rewriting, and owns proxy pass, set handler, and auth. Files matches file names like .env or .back during lookup. Use it to block dot files and backups, and never put URL patterns or disk paths there. Let's start with directory, because it's the workhorse you'll touch every day. The path inside the tag is a file system path. Apache resolves the URL to a file first, then asks, is this disk location allowed? Inside the block, you set the usual suspects. Allow override to unlock .htaccess, options for symlinks and indexes, and require for access. And inheritance is intuitive. A narrower path like uploads inherits from its parent and can override just one option, like flipping indexes back on. Need a pattern instead of a literal path? That's directory match with a regex. Now flip the mental model. Location is the URL side mirror. It matches what the client asked for, not what's sitting on disk. That's exactly why you reach for it when there is no file. A reverse proxy with proxy pass, forwarding, API to a backend, a set handler exposing, metrics through MAUDI status, or auth gating a admin prefix before any file system lookup happens. Rule of thumb, no file on disk or pure URL logic. Location wins. Third tool, files. This one ignores paths entirely and matches by file name anywhere in the served tree. The killer use case is defensive. One files match on correct \dot in your main apache2.conf, and every dot file across every site is denied. No more leaked .env credentials, no exposed .gt directories. Add a second block for .back, .sql, and vim swaps, and you've shut the door on the most common deploy accidents. Use plain files for an exact name, like wp-config.php. Reach for files match when you need real regex. Now let's see all three working together in one real VOST. Layer 1, the directory block, sets disk-level policy on var www shop, htaccess on, no directory listings, access granted. Layer 2, files match, slams the door on dot files and backup extensions, regardless of where they live. Layer 3, location, API, hands that URL prefix off to a backend on port 8080 via proxy pass. File system, file name, URL, 3 inputs, 3 blocks, 0 overlap. So why 3 blocks instead of one unified rule? First, each one fires at a different point in the request lifecycle. Directory at the file system stage, location after URL rewriting, files during file lookup. Second, they inherit differently. Directory cascades down the tree. Location stands alone. Files ignores hierarchy entirely. And third, the block name itself tells you the intent. Directory means disk path, Location means URL. One block would force all of that into parameters. 3 blocks make it self-documenting. With that mental model in place, here's the cheat sheet. Print it, pin it, whatever. Anything tied to a folder on disk, htaccess unlocks, blocking listings, IP restrictions, that's directory. Anything tied to a URL prefix, reverse proxying to a backend, exposing server status, requiring auth on a path, that's location. And anything tied to file name patterns like blocking .files, that's files match. Match the input type to the block. No guesswork. Now you drill it, 3 exercises, 1 block each. First, directory, lockdown, var, www shop private with options, indexes and require all denied, then prove the 403. Second, location, wire to a proxy pass into a netcat listener. See Apache forward the request in real time? Third, files match. Drop a .env with a fake secret, watch it leak, then kill it with a single .file pattern. Hit all 3 and the muscle memory is yours. Once you've drilled it, here's what still trips people up. 5 mistakes, all the same root cause. Wrong block for the input type. Location with a file system path. Silent no-op. Directory on a proxy URL matches nothing. Files in Apache 2.conf where a directory parent already covers it. Redundant. Forgetting location runs after directory, so your deny gets bypassed by a later proxy pass. And files with a star thinking it's a glob. It's a literal. Wildcards belong in files match with real rejects. That's lesson 5. 3 blocks, 3 jobs. Directory for file system paths, location for URLs, files for file names, and the matrix is in your head now. Next up, .htaccess. Per folder config without a restart, which sounds like a gift until it isn't. We'll cover when it saves you, when it haunts you, and the allow override directive that controls the whole thing. See you in lesson 6.